I swear. These little things have little flints in there, and you just kind of, if you don't put any pressure on them, they just go like this forever. So what you have to do is you have to actually sort of push down on it a little bit so you get a spark, right? Because people are sitting there, the gas is running, and they're doing this, and people are going, somebody smell gas? And I'm going, yeah, the place is going to explode, you know? So anyway, and it's going to get hot in here, just because it will. There you go. And that's, I probably don't need all that much flame. That's probably enough. All right, so this is an inoculating loop because it's got a little round thing there at the end. All right, and what am I going to do? All right, well, I'll take some E. coli that's in a broth, and I'm going to transfer it into another broth and then also onto a slant. All right, so that's just one that's just one I picked out. Okay, so how do you sterilize and inoculate? Well, real simple. You just stick it in the flame until it glows red hot. All right, the whole wire. I mean, none of this. You know, so, and some people hold it like this when they do it. I mean, I really don't care. This is by default the way I've always done it. And you need to get as you'll see in a sec, you need to get the whole length of the wire, just not like right there. That really, because you could still have some contamination. So anyway, so what I'm going to do, and I always do this so fast because I've been doing this for so long. I'll try to slow down. You know, I had an instructor one time that she asked me, she said, "Oh, I got the perfect way to demonstrate transfers." And I'm going, and to slow it down. And I'm going, "How do you do it?" She goes, "I do it with my left hand." And I tried, and I can't do it. I'm just too clumsy. So I'm going to do it with my right hand. Anyway, so you got this thing. All right, so you sterilize your loop, and I will be slow. Sterilize the loop, let it cool a little bit. And then you have to take the cap off. These caps are always really loose. You just kind of grab it. Some people grab it like this. I just grab it with my little finger against the palm of my hand. You pull this off, and then just very briefly, you pass the tube through the flame just to kill any bacteria which might be on the surface. So just pass it through like that. And then you go, I missed. It's the trouble when you only have one contact lens. No depth perception. Okay, so you don't miss. You go in. It might sizzle a little bit, but no big deal. You go in and you get a loop. Probably almost every mistake you can make. I'm glad I did that. I did that on purpose. You get a loop. No, remember, you reflame before you put the cap back on.
Okay.
Put this back on. Okay, now I'm going to transfer it into the broth. Okay, pull the cap off briefly through there, and all you have to do is just go in. Right? You don't have to see anything fall off or anything like that. Believe me, it's inoculated. Okay, so you just go in there, bring it out, reflame, put the cap back on. It's done. All right. Now I'm going to have to get some Vespine actually and clean up my little E. coli spill, but it's no big deal. Okay, so that one's done. Now we're going to transfer from here to the slant. Okay, before you can do it, you have to start the whole procedure over again. You sterilize your loop. Come in here, pick this up, cap off, go in, get some bacteria, reflame this down. Now what you do is you pull this off. Okay, now I'll try to hold this so you can see it. You'll notice that the auger the slant kind of ends kind of where I'm holding the tube. What you want to do is you want to take the loop and you go all the way down the slant, just to where it sort of ends, like right there. And all you do is just going to go like right up the center of the slant. All right, and that transfers the E. coli, reflame, and it's done. It's over here. Okay. Get those two out of the way. All right. Now, what I didn't, and then you reflame. Now I'm going to stop for a second, and anytime you stop in this procedure and you put your loop down or something like that, which I just contaminated. I was just going to go home. What the hell's wrong with me today? So I've been doing this for 17 years. Maybe that's what's wrong with me. Maybe I should. I couldn't be any worse than I am right now. God. Anyway, that's only E. coli. It's only Pseudomonas.
Are you playing seriously? You putting your hand in your face?
hand on your face, on your mouth?
No, I'll survive. I have the immune system of a goat. Anyway, no, I know I'm not being very good, am I? Okay, so I'm done with this. I'm really bad. Probably going to go tell the dean that I'm a walking disaster. Okay. which I am today for some reason. Well, I don't have to work tonight. Anyway, so these are done. Now, what I was going to say is what I didn't do, because I'm afraid to do anything now, is you would have labeled these. Okay, you would have taken a little piece of tape and you would have put on here like E. coli, from broth, and same with this, E. coli from broth. So just so you'd have some reference. Okay, so but I didn't do it, but you're going to do it.
And you do it before you do it.
Oh yeah, what I would do, and that's a good question.
Yeah.
I always do that if I'm going to
Before,
make
yeah.
when I make tubes. I always make the labels first.
Yeah.
And stick them on there because you can see how bad I am. I would never remember, and neither would you. I mean, if I can't remember, well, I can't remember just because I can't remember. Anyway, so that was the broth.
Yeah.
I will wash my hands and stuff. I'm sure you. Okay, so here's the slant. All right. So here's how this works. Sterilize your lube. All right, sterilize your lube. Pull the cap off. Some of these caps are on a little tighter than this. Pull the cap off. All right, then all you really need to do, you don't need to like get a whole mess of E. coli on your lube. All you really need to do is just go in here and just touch your lube to the surface of the E. coli. Stuff transfers off. I mean, there's E. coli on there, right? Flame, cap back on. Now we're going to transfer it into the broth. Pull this off. Flame. You go in here. All you have to do is just stick it in there. You don't need to see the E. coli fall off or anything like that. I mean, some people really get carried away. I mean, really get carried away. They sit there and they, until they see something. You don't need to do that. I mean, trust me, it's inoculated, right? So you pull this back out, reflame, put this down. That one's done, right? Now we're going to do it again. So think to yourself, well, why do you have to reflame? Just because you do. Right? Reflame. Come back. You can see the little mark I made on the slant. Pull this off. Come in here. Grab a little E. coli. Right, that's done. Cap back on. Now we're going to go on this one. Pull this off. And then you go all the way down right to where it touches, and then just right up the center. Now, normally what I do is when I get down here, instead of just going straight up, I just always zigzag up just because it gives you more bacteria. But you guys don't have to worry about that. Reflame. And so those guys are done. So I did my transfers. See, it's pretty simple. Well, except for the mess I made, but it's pretty simple. All right, now, are we okay with that? Any?
Yes,
let me
yes.
flame here. No, I mean that's pretty simple. It's the thing is you just gotta remember the steps, the reflaming and stuff. I know it seems like, well, I did it once, but I have to do it again. It's just like one of these historic things. It's just the way you do it. All right, I mean, I took micro so many years ago. The guy taught it to me. He's probably dead. Well, probably is. Because that was a long time ago. I'm sure Dr. Romano is no longer around. I shouldn't say that, but he was an okay guy. He scared the hell out of me. I was terrified of the man. But he's a terrifying guy.
Is there any way to just label the actual tube and then use like acetone or something to take it off?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes and no. We like to use tape because if you actually write on the tube, then people don't take it off, and then the poor dishwasher, the guy who does our dishes, he's going, oh crap, he has to wipe them off. So now, just use tape.
Okay.
Yeah. I used to have a lab coat that said no tape on tubes. Right now it says thought provoking, but I used to have one of the students came and said no tape on tubes because whenever you put anything over there, you have to take the tape off. If you don't, Matt gives them back to me, and since your names are on them, I give them to you.
Right.
Well, no, I usually don't. All right, so we did the transfers. All right. Tony Romano, Dr. Romano, man, first micro class I took, we called it bacteriology. Guy was scary. If you ask a question and he didn't think it was like worth answering, like if you said something to me like, Dr. Romano, did you say transfer E. coli to the slant and then E. coli to the broth? He'd probably just look at you and go, didn't I just say that? What? He was like, it's like, don't ask him anything. But then I got to know him. He wasn't such a bad guy. Anyway, all right, let's do T-streak. All right, so, and we decided to use broths for the T-streaks. Okay, cool. All right. There we go. All right, so I'm gonna do this a little differently than I normally would, just so you guys can see it. Okay, so you take the cap, you do all the flaming, right? You get a little bit of E. coli on here. And I'm going to take the lid off and set it aside. I don't normally I like to just pull the lid off a little bit like that.